Welcome to Scum, everybody. This is a guide for solo players on base building in Scum. A strategy that is often recommended, and one that I use for some time, is simply building crates to dump your loot in and burying them throughout the map as you move around. While this worked for a while, two problems emerged from this way of playing. 1. Trying to organize your loot for crafting or preparing weapons becomes tedious because you're always running between crates after loot runs in order to try and organize your loot. 2. The map is so big now that burying crates means that you have to be constantly on the move, which can be tedious, especially if you're traveling on foot. I believe building a base is crucial even as a solo player. However, the argument to this is often that building a base can take a lot of resources to build, and you will eventually get raided. This is true. So how can you as a solo player build a base that is not resource intensive to build and gives you the ability to defend against raiders and discourage people raiding your base? A motivated player or group of players will always be able to break into your base. The question is not how to make your base unraidable. The question is, how as a solo player can you make it really difficult for even groups to raid your base? Caves offer a meaningful alternative, but not all caves are created equal. In this video, I will show you 3 caves that offer good defenses and a good location for a base. Let's bring up the map to see where exactly we are. On the western edge of C2 is a cave worth considering. It is close to both the prison and the C2 bunker, which is the biggest bunker in the game. To the west, in C3, there's also towns close by for non-military loot. It also has the dam to the north. This location is very central to almost anywhere on the map. This cave is also very defensible from the inside if you are solo. Let's take a look inside. As you can see, there's plenty of space. What makes this cave so attractive for solo players is that a wall can be built off to seal off the entrance inside the cave, making it harder to get inside with minimal resources. Here's one version of what that wall could look like. You can even build a platform to help defend your base from incoming enemies. Enemies approaching from the outside can barely see you, from this position. The narrow entrance also allows for minimal mines and traps while still being effective. When building inside caves, always try to build against flat surfaces or flat walls in order to avoid gaps in the wall. As you can see, very difficult to see from the outside unless you're actually looking for the cave. Even if you run past, not easy to spot from the outside. Now let's take a look at the next cave worth considering. In the northwest corner of D3 is another cave that could work well as a base for solo players. This location is close to the D3 and D4 bunkers, including the airstrip. That's a lot of loot relatively close by. It's also close to the city, making it an overall good spot. You can't build walls inside this cave, but the entrance is well camouflaged, making it difficult to spot to anyone passing by. The one obvious downside to this location is how far it is from most places on the map. Getting to the southern regions of the map will take some time, especially if you're traveling on foot. Let's take a look inside. As you can see, we're approaching the entrance and you can barely see the entry point. Okay, there's plenty of space inside, even for a small group. So one thing to keep in mind with this cave is that building over the entrance can be tricky, because there are possible entry points from both sides of the door. I suggest you maybe experiment in single player mode before committing to resources. You will also need a base block to help seal off the entrance from intruders for this cave. See, there's a possible entry point that you need to protect against. This can be tricky, so play around in single player mode before committing to resources on a server. Let's try and penetrate this gap. As you can see, it cannot be penetrated. I would also suggest putting a mine right at the bottom there, just in case someone manages to find a way through. And this is where you will need the base block. Let's test it out. There we go. So this is another great cave if you're a solo player or a small group and looking for a discrete location for a base. As you can see, the entrance is very difficult to spot from the outside unless you're actually looking for the cave. The final cave is in the northeast corner of Z2. This cave is just off the road near the T-junction. This cave also allows you to build multiple layers of wall to protect your loot from intruders with plenty of space inside. It's also a great place if you have a vehicle, as a gas station is just a few hundred meters away. It also has great proximity to good looting spots, close to the Z2 bunker and the torpedo factory. Let's take a look inside. A nice long entrance point where you can place many traps and mines. And plenty of space inside. This cave can also be quite tricky to build, so I also suggest playing around in single player mode until you find something you're happy with before committing resources on a server. First layer complete. And this is the second layer, making this cave very attractive. There's also a nice gap between each wall, meaning that one C4 will only take out one wall. For this base to be raided without lockpicks, will require 2 C4s to get through. Even though this gap looks pretty big, you can't actually get through it. At least I couldn't get through it. Thank you for watching. If you found this video useful, please leave a like or let me know if you have any other good spots on the map for base building, especially if you're a solo player.